Well, Father Carlos Suarez is familiar to Catholic TV viewers as he regularly celebrates both the Spanish and English Masses, and today he joins us to talk about World Day of Prayer for Vocations. Thank you so much for being with us, Father.
Hey, thank you. It's a blessing to be here today.
Before we get into the World Day of Prayer for Vocations, maybe if you could tell us a little bit about your job as Assistant Vocation Director here in the Archdiocese.
Sure. So when people hear Vocation Director or Assistant Vocation Director, they sort of think recruiter. And there's an element of, cultivating vocations. But it's more the way I see my role in my ministry. It's going out to parishes, accompanying our young people, celebrating Masses, and encouraging people to hear the invitation of God in their lives, both for themselves, but also for their children or family, to foster this culture of vocations.
I know a lot of people, as I mentioned, see you on the television Mass, both the Spanish and English Mass too, and with your job, and I know you help out at a parish too. Talk about trying to sort of keep everything together, all the different hands that you're into. Sure.
Well, thankfully, things like, being part of Catholic TV sort of fit in the context of the week. There's a little bit of flexibility, particularly with the Spanish Mass. And then weekends, I try to visit one of our communities, usually our Hispanic communities. There's 42 of them, perhaps some of our Brazilian communities, some of the other ethnic groups. And it's just week to week, I sort of piece the calendar together. If Google Calendar goes down, I might have an issue. But it really gives me a great blessing to see the breadth of our church in the Archdiocese, the different communities, some very large, some very small. And just to see how God is moving in each is a real blessing.
Yeah. And maybe if you could expand on your work, too, how important it is to have Vocations Director, Assistant Vocations Director, being able to go out there and sort of interact with people who may be thinking, who might be on the, the edge of thinking about a discernment and heading into a seminary, how important it is to sort of have maybe a little push or a little...
Sure. Well, first of all, I think one of the blessings we have as the Archdiocese of Boston is we're, I think, one of two dioceses, or archdiocese in the U.S., to have a team of 3 in the vocations office, and I think that shows the Cardinal's emphasis on the importance of this, of recognizing that fostering vocations is a role not just for one person or two, but for the whole church, to pray together, to form together, to help each other hear that invitation from God and answer joyfully to it. And that's what I see my ministry as. It's encouraging people to see that in answering this call, is there sacrifice? Sure. Will there be challenges? Sure. But that's true of any life worth living. The greatest thing is to find that call that gives you joy and fulfills the reason you were created.
And I know the Cardinal always invites people who are thinking about it too. I know he's involved in some of those dinners that you have around too.
Yes.
How important that is to sort of, have others who are also thinking about it, meet each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as you say, in some of the things we do, we have our come and see retreats, we have our St. Andrew's dinners for our high school students, encounters with college students. I run a day of prayer for our Hispanic communities. Just what it really is, creating opportunities. The more time we can make for our young people to hear that voice of God, the easier it is for them to answer.
And of course, this year on Good Shepherd Sunday, we mark the 55th anniversary of the World Day of Prayer for Vocations. And maybe if you could talk about this day, Father, and how important it is. It's dedicated to prayer to support vocations, and how important it is for everybody to sort of get on board in praying for vocations.
That's right. As you allude to, it's 55 years we've been celebrating this day. It comes from Pope Paul VI, who encouraged the whole church, following the words of Jesus, to foster this day in particular, to pray for vocations. It's one of the things that Jesus tells us in the gospel, the need for vocations. It might feel like it's new to our times, but from the beginning, Jesus encouraged his disciples by how great the harvest was, how many laborers are needed, and what he said to them, it's certainly go out and do, but first of all, pray. Pray for the master of the harvest to send out laborers. And so we must do the same thing, first encouraging our people to pray for vocations as they feel the need for more priests, for religious, for deacons, for committed people serving the church. First, to pray to God to animate all those people he has called. But second, and also importantly, to ask themselves, what is God asking of them? Is he asking them maybe to consider a priestly vocation, a religious vocation, called to the diaconate? And if we move our prayers in those two ways, I think we fulfill the call for this day, which is that time, not that it's unique among all days, we should always pray for vocations, but in a particular way on this day, to pray as a whole church together, trusting in that power of prayer.
If people watching now might know somebody or have some questions about the Vocations Office, where can they turn? Where would they look to do that?
Well, they can certainly go to our website, vocationsboston.org.
Okay.
Or certainly ask their parish priest. My encouragement to anyone who says, you know, I know this guy who would be a great priest, but they hold back, they're afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. If you see something, invite, ask. You're not going to offend. You might challenge, you might startle them, but your question, your invitation might be the seed that it takes for them to begin answering that call from God.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you for coming
so
by,
much.
Father Carlos. And,
It's a blessing to be here.
We ask for prayers for everyone for
much.
more support and vocations here, not only in the Archdiocese, but all across the world as well.